Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe, and I'm a sales and marketing coach and LinkedIn lead generation service provider. I work with health, life, and mindset coaches and online service-based business owners to help them get more sales, shift their time to the client-generating activities instead of just the busy work, and overcome that social media overwhelm. Let's get into the show. If you're ready to take on your next paying clients, I have good news. My free 4 Basics of Client Attraction and How to Stand Out class is live at haileyrowe.com/client-attraction. In the class, you're going to learn the top 2 traits I recommend for most coaches and entrepreneurs if they really want to turn this into a career. You're going to learn how you can build demand for your services and stop getting crickets on your posts. You're going to learn the sales roadmap I used to improve my sales conversion rate and help my clients do the same. And you're going to learn so much more. So go to haileyrowe.com/client-attraction and get your copy of the class today. We are going to be talking about insurance when it comes to your wellness or your coaching-based business. She is with Alternative Balance. And Miriam, why don't you just share a little bit about what is Alternative Balance all about and how did you get into working there?
Sure. So Alternative Balance is a membership-based group that supports individual professionals in the health, beauty, and wellness industries. And our main benefit is liability insurance. And we offer other member benefits to help people grow their business and understand how to be successful in their business. So working with people like Hailey here to provide information that's going to support your work. And Alternative Balance has been offering insurance and business support for over 25 years now. The founder, Kim Henderson, was a Reiki practitioner herself, and she had a hard time finding the right insurance for her services. And so she kind of took the reins and said, this has got to be easier. There's got to be a better way. And so she made it happen. And here we are 25 years later with over 14,000 members. I started working with Alternative Balance about 8 years ago, full time. But I've known them since about 2012. And yeah, I focus on building the insurance program.
Love it. So why would somebody who is a wellness professional and or a life coach or someone of that nature, well, actually, let me back up for a second. Who needs insurance and why? And yeah, what should they be thinking about when it comes to why would they need insurance?
So practitioners in the health, beauty, and wellness space should really be looking to, at the minimum, have general and professional liability insurance. The reason they need that insurance is if they are accused of some sort of malpractice or they cause bodily injury to somebody or property damage to someone's property in the course of their business, they could get sued for damages. They could be sued for whatever negligence someone thinks that they're responsible for that caused injury. And the main part of that is even if you're not ultimately held responsible for those injuries or that damage, you still have to pay an attorney to defend you. You have to understand what the laws are in your state, in your local area. And that gets expensive really, really fast. We all know attorneys are very expensive. And even getting them to write a letter on your behalf to somebody who is threatening to sue you can be expensive. And so having liability insurance is what jumps in to protect you financially from those expenses. And they're going to have the knowledge and experience to protect you. And so that's going to protect your business. It's going to protect you personally from financial loss you might suffer because of somebody threatening to sue you or actually suing you. So that's going to be the big reason to get liability insurance for your business.
Okay. And so you said there's 2 types of insurance?
There's multiple types that people need for their business, but the main ones are going to be general liability and professional liability. So general liability is going to protect you financially in case someone gets injured on the location where you're providing services. So if somebody were to come into your office space and they trip and fall and they get injured and they have big medical bills or something that they need to pay and they want you to pay for that because it happened at your location, general liability is going to come into play there. Professional liability is very important for anyone who is providing a professional service. So something like life coaching or wellness coaching, someone could say, well, you gave me really bad advice. And that ultimately injured me and it caused me financial loss, or it damaged my person. And so I'm going to sue you. Professional liability is designed to protect you in the event that someone alleges that you gave them bad professional advice.
Okay, got it. So somebody who works in the online space definitely would want the second one versus if you work with people in person, you probably want both. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. General liability also includes coverage for things like personal and advertising injury. So if you were to accidentally steal someone's copyrighted material and they come back at you and say, hey, you owe me compensation because you used my copyrighted material, general liability is going to protect you for that as well. So even if you're in the online space, you're going to want general liability to cover you for incidents of copyright infringement, libel, slander, those sorts of things. But for sure, professional liability for online is important. They're often sold together. It's not common to get one without the other unless you're getting general liability, but it's more difficult to get professional liability without general liability.
Interesting. Okay. And what kind of price range are we looking at for someone who's a single business owner? Because most of the listeners here, they don't have huge teams yet. They maybe have subcontractors and whatnot, but it's pretty much them and they're doing their business and they're working with clients online or locally. So what kind of range of monthly spend are we talking for something like this?
Well, with Alternative Balance, it's the membership fee is $269 per year. And it's just, you pay it once and then you don't pay it again until the next year. And it's very simple. If you were to find coverage with another company, oftentimes you're looking at, maybe $30 a month. So anywhere annually from $200 up to $800, depending on where you're located and what your business is. I have seen some policies for individuals go all the way up to like $1,200. So it's important to find an insurance provider that understands your work and your business, because a lot of times individual insurance agents are just selling a generic policy designed for everybody, and they don't really understand what it is you actually need coverage for. And so they're going to tack on all these things that you don't need, aren't going to protect you in your instance, and you're going to be paying premium for that you don't need. So finding the right place. It's important.
Yeah. Okay. And we put a link with today's show, and we'll put it in the show notes, to Alternative Balance. So also with the membership, does that get you insurance, or is that just to support you with understanding your insurance or things like that?
Nope. The Alternative Balance membership does include the insurance. So you get the insurance plus all the other business support.
Awesome. Okay. So what would somebody want to look for when they're trying to decide insurance, and maybe decipher the difference for like a health and wellness professional versus maybe like a life coach or things like that?
So a lot of people that are in the health and wellness space that are individual practitioners, their risk is going to be very similar. You're going to be giving a lot of advice to people, and there might be a lot of online work. That's very, very common in what we do. So one of the things to look for in your insurance is making sure that you're not restricted to a specific premises. A lot of policies that you might get elsewhere will require you to put in an address of where you're going to be providing your service, and your policy will only cover you at that location. It might also restrict coverage for online services. So that's something to keep an eye out for as well, is making sure that you are covered for virtual or remote sessions that you might do. So looking for those two things are important. The other thing that is important to look out for is an option to include cyber liability coverage.
Hmm.
So cyber liability is going to cover you if there's a breach of your customer data, which even if you don't collect personally identifiable information, which pretty much everybody does because you're going to get a name, a phone number, an address, and that's all data that needs to be protected. But if you use a third-party payment processor to collect your payments, if that third-party payment processor gets hacked, you can still be held responsible for your customer's information because you're the one who chose that service. And so cyber liability is going to come into play to protect you in those instances as well, which includes like reporting requirements for your specific state, they're going to pay the fee to do credit monitoring services for your clients and things like that. So if you're doing online services, making sure you have an opportunity to purchase cyber liability insurance is also important.
Got it. Okay. So if they do the membership, does it include, is there different like levels they can pick that includes all that they need, or how does that work?
So what our membership includes is the general and professional liability insurance. It also includes $10,000 in business personal property coverage, which would cover like your computer, any office equipment that you have. If those were to get stolen or damaged, it would replace those, and also supplement your business income if you were unable to provide services until you got your equipment replaced. And so there's $20,000 in total coverage for both of those. And then we also offer a participant accident coverage. To add cyber liability onto that is an additional $149, and that's for the whole year. So there are some additional things, like we also offer sexual abuse coverage if you want to add that on. But basically the basics of what you would need to cover defense costs and everything like that is all included in that $269.
Nice. Okay. So also, what kind of things you mentioned, maybe exclusions or things that they don't need, or because maybe if they're just working with somebody who's a general type of insurance person, they're going to throw in things that maybe they don't need. So tell me more about that. Is there anything we should be aware of with that?
So the main things are what I mentioned previously, just about being restricted to a specific premises or not having online coverage for your online services. Some of the other things that might get added on through another insurance agent, if they're just issuing you a business insurance policy, sometimes they have coverage for like business auto. And there's different kinds of business auto coverage, and they might just assume that you need it, and so it's on there and you don't know to look for it. They might also include coverage for employees or employment practices liability insurance, which is something totally separate for people who have a lot of employees they're hiring. So if you're not planning on having employees, you don't need that insurance until you're hiring, more than one or two employees. So there are just things like that if it's outside of the range of general and professional liability, if you see other terms besides that, that's something to pay attention to. Exclusions are going to include, in addition to online services or premises liability services, you're going to want to make sure that there's no restrictions for, like, say you're doing fitness services as well. So if you're a life coach and a personal trainer, some of those business insurance policies are going to exclude activities related to fitness. That's a very common one that is included in standard business policies, but a lot of people who are in the fitness industry don't realize that that's in there. So if you are working with an agent, make sure to look for that or ask your agent about that.
Got it. Okay. And so does somebody need to, because I know a lot of listeners are maybe new to their business, do they need to be an LLC or an S Corp, or, do they need to be that first before getting something like this?
No, you could just be a sole proprietor, just an individual providing services. If you do end up incorporating later on, that's no problem. just be sure to update your business name. Like say you change your business name, just make sure to update that in your account with Alternative Balance or with your insurance agent, just to make sure everything is up to date.
Okay. And do you want to maybe give an example of someone in your membership who ended up needing it, or it came in handy, or just an example how this could play out and work for someone?
Sure. So one example would be a life coach who was giving nutrition advice, and she was a naturopathic practitioner as well. And so she had recommended a specific regimen to a client, and that client later on ended up having some medical issues and ended up in the hospital. And she was threatening to sue our member for bodily injury and negligent practices in recommending a certain regimen. Our member was very good and had meticulous records. They were, very, very clear about what they recommended and when and why. And so when the claim was submitted to the insurance company, they hopped right on it. They assigned her an attorney and a claims adjuster, and they responded to the letters, the intent to sue. They reached out to the claimant's attorney, and, they were like, there's a lot of documentation here that does not support your lawsuit claims. And so they were able to resolve the issue through the attorneys. And luckily, the lawsuit didn't end up moving forward further. But through their expertise, they were able to kind of solve that problem. I think you're muted still.
Sorry about that. I am muted. Whoops. So it sounds like this is important to anyone who is giving any kind of bodily advice, support, etc. type of coaching. Anybody who's giving any life advice or things like that that could be, potentially misinterpreted or something like that. And I think that in today's world, it's really important to create awareness around this, because we all know, okay, have a contract, have an agreement, et cetera. But a lot of times we don't really think about sometimes the insurance piece. So that's super helpful. And it can be a lonely road as an entrepreneur. Nobody's like teaching you, okay, step one, get insurance, step two.
Yeah.
So where can everybody connect? And I know, like I said, full disclosure, I am a partner now with Alternative Balance. And we have the link here with this video. But if people want to connect with you guys, how do they do that? And where can they check you out?
Yeah, just come visit us at alternativebalance.com. We have a lot of really good information on our website. It's really easy to sign up. It's just a 2-step application that takes maybe 5 minutes. Nice. And if you have any questions, we have a chat button on our website. You can chat with our customer service reps. They're all 100% human. We don't have any automated systems. And feel free to give us a call or send an email to support@alternativebalance.com.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here, and I'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to this podcast. And if it's really helpful for you, I'd really appreciate if you share it and or leave a written podcast review. This tells the podcast sites that our show is useful, and it will be promoted to more people that way. Thanks again.